Giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem HaRachakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders here at Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the Lord's hopefully elect. So the apostles did lessons responding to Bishop Nathaniel and his recent video. Was looked like he got back from Kenya, and going off what they said, they really praised themselves like the whole day for what happened in Kenya, like we knew they were. And quite frankly, they're most likely going to milk it till the missiles drop or till the Lord brings them down. But in that video, he apparently said that GMS is not sincere, that Great Millstone as well as ICPK, he said these groups are not sincere. So what he's trying to do is use what happened in Kenya to try to grab all the attention possible, and at the same time say that, yeah, the Lord ain't dealing with these groups because they not sincere because of, what they went through. Well, we know that it's just another theatric, right? And like I said, they're going to probably milk it till the Lord brings destruction upon this place or upon that group. But if anybody knows who listens, everybody knows that Great Millstone is sincere, right? If there's any group that isn't sincere, it's definitely that group, but this is what they have to do. They have to deflect. Their goal is to just try to win over the minds of the simple. Everything they do is for show, and it's just to win over simple-minded individuals who think according to this world. And because they speak according to this world, they know that they're going to win favor with most. That's why they don't put emphasis on the elect. Everything they do is all about deceiving the masses and the majority. And when you really think about IUIC, I did a Venn diagram. It was taken down, it was on my old channel, but I actually wrote out the comparisons between IUIC and the Christian church, and you find out that they are the exact same. They both believe in calling Jesus Christ. They both believe that the Hebrew is not important. They both have 501c3. They both believe that you can only have one wife. They both believe that sex outside of legal marriage is a sin. They're the exact same. The only difference is what IUIC would be correct on versus Christian churches. They would tell them that we are not to sin willfully, because many people in the Christian church believe that you just have free reign to sin. That's incorrect. And if IUIC would teach that, then they are actually correct. But there's actually something that the Christian church has over IUIC. And it's that they believe, most of them believe, that we are justified by faith. They understand that concept, that we are justified by faith. IUIC has an issue with that because they want to be justified by the law. So that's actually something the Christian church has over IUIC, is the justification by faith. And that's what makes us holy, and not the works of the law. And so can you believe that? That's actually something the Christian church would have that can confound IUIC over. And a lot of these Israelite groups has taken L's to Christians in the past, even to this day, which that's a shame. And the reason they take those L's is because they don't teach 100% truth. They're all hypocrites. And like IUIC in particular, they add and take away from the book. That's what they're known for. Everything that they taught over there is the doctrine according to Bishop Nathaniel. That's why most of them Israelites that's in that camp, they come straight from the Christian church, because they actually are in agreement. IUIC and the Christian church are in agreement. IUIC just teaches salvation by fringes. They added that. That's why when you really examine them, they've narrowed down their entire doctrine to Jesus is black and salvation by fringes. Why? Because they added and took away so much that's what they've narrowed themselves down to. That's all they have. Any other topic they go into, they look like fools. They don't have the spirit to work with. The spirit's not working with them. That's all they have. So that's all that they teach. Those two things, which, by the way, the salvation by fringes is incorrect. It's really salvation by the spiritual fringes, but they won't talk about that. They won't say that. And his name isn't Jesus, but that's it. That's all they have. So when you really check them out, you see that they're wrong on everything. Like, they're wrong on everything. That's why, and they know they're wrong on everything. That's why they narrowed their doctrine down to just two topics: Jesus is black and salvation by fringes. So they don't go into breakdowns. They don't go into deep breakdowns. They don't counsel and uplift the flock and the sheep for comfort. They just have to narrow. They just have to focus. They just have to so-called focus on getting people legally married, changing their legal names, telling them to put on some fringes, and they still say praise Jesus, praising those names, but just know that he's black. That's it. They don't have, the Spirit's not working with them on anything else. So when you really check them, you'll see that they're wrong on everything. And what I finally understand now why Yahweh Shai is allowing Bishop Nathaniel to do these theatrics and to make these moves that he's been making, such as going to Kenya, etc. The question is Kenya, was that the last that the Lord said, okay, that's the farthest you're going to go? That's the question. But I now understand why the Lord's allowing this man to do what he's doing and for this group to do what they're doing. Is so that he can make a clean example with this group that it does not matter how much money and effort you put on the outward appearance. If you don't follow his simple, basic instructions, it will fall. It does not matter how many video editors and professional the word escapes me. It does not matter how fancy your garments are. It doesn't matter how many videos you put up showing you cleaning up the trash. It doesn't matter how much you edit your videos. It doesn't matter how big your group gets. It doesn't matter how many sound effects you have in your videos and explosions and people yelling. It doesn't matter how loud you are. It doesn't matter how many women you have praising you. It doesn't matter how many praises you get on the comment board. It doesn't matter how far the world you reach. It doesn't matter if you went to Kenya. It doesn't matter, your video editing skills. It doesn't matter your AI video skills, putting yourself up as a guy, putting yourself as a savior. Like I said, look at this thumbnail, saviors. Doesn't matter how much you try to do it, putting yourself in the armor. No matter how much and how hard you try to convince the world that you are the prophets and that you are suffering for the Lord's sake. Doesn't matter how much emphasis you put on an outward appearance. If Yahweh Yahushua is not dealing with you, you will fall. Doesn't matter how worldly friendly your doctrine is. Doesn't matter how you could say, I would say worldly friendly. Doesn't matter how politically correct you are. If you are adding and taking away from his word, you will fall. Just like Saul. That's why Bishop Nathaniel give off Saul vibes. I mean, there's so many examples you can go in the scriptures. But Saul did the exact same thing. He was handpicked by the Lord to go do that was right. But then the first time he transgressed was he forced himself to give a sacrifice without waiting for Samuel. And Samuel told him right then and there, what you did wasn't good. He said, because at first you was going to be established, but because of this sin, now the Lord's going to give somebody else. He told him right then and there. And then what happened after that? He didn't listen and slew everything that the Amalekites did to fulfill his wrath. He instead feared the people and decided to keep the best of everything and just offer it to the Lord. And what does Samuel tell him? He said, you broke the law. But what did he say? No, I didn't. I did good. I took the best that they had. You know what I did? I sacrificed it to the Lord. Because I know the Lord is pleased with that. And the Lord said, better is it to simply obey than to get any smart, wise ideas. The Lord didn't need you to do that. He'd rather you just obey his word than try to flatter him with 1,000 rams. It could be 1,000 goats. Like Micah said, what am I going to offer 1,000 goats, my firstborn son? Is that going to win favor with him? But I know what will win favor with him, simply doing what he told me to do. That's what's going to happen to IUIC. That's what Nate's going to realize. The Lord is allowing Nate to reach this height. Because Nate, you could tell he's trying to force the Lord to deal with him in the spirit, which he's not. Just like Saul. When Saul wanted to and then inquire, what did he do? He tried to force the Lord to talk to him. He went to a sorceress. You could just see everything that Nate's doing is to try to force himself as a prophet. He's trying to force the Lord to deal with him on the spiritual sense, but he's not. You know, putting emphasis on the fact that you got treated wrong for teaching Jesus is black. Like putting so much emphasis on that. It's like, yeah, well, guess what? The same thing happened to all of us and the apostles and elders in Babylon, in America. We go out, we teach. We've had bug outs. I personally dealt with extreme demons that got mad when as soon as we told them, talking about our people, no, the Most High, Yahweh Yahushua, the so-called black man. And they turned to demons. And we about to fight. You know, the camp had to be canceled. We've all done it. The apostles done it. We've seen the videos. It all happened to all of us in America. Big deal. But because it happened in Kenya, they're going, oh, this is proof. We are the prophets. There's proof. We got chased out because we told them that so-called Jesus is black. This is proof. We're the prophets. This is proof, y'all. This is the proof. We are the saviors. Yeah, well, the same thing happens to any brother that goes out there and teach on the highways and byways. We all get persecuted for the truth's sake. So what makes you even more special? But you see, they're going to capitalize it. They're going to make these videos on it. They're going to hype it up as much as they can. You know what I'm saying? And you can just see it. It's all forced. If I had to sum it up, everything that they're doing is forced. And what they're going to find out is it is better to simply obey and to teach 100% truth than to pour all this money on dabbling up the outside, making it look pretty with a worldly friendly doctrine. If you simply are not obeying and doing what he told you to do, it means nothing. Psalms 37:16. A little that a righteous man hath is better than the riches of many wicked. Book of Proverbs 28:6. Better is the poor that walketh in his uprightness than he that is perverse in his ways, though he be rich. So it's better to be poor, right? And walk in your uprightness than he that is perverse. Perverse means twisted. In his ways, though he be rich. So IUIC is being set up as an example for Israel, that it does not matter what you call yourself doing politically, worldly friendly doctrine. It doesn't matter how much you prince yourself up. Doesn't matter how much money you pour into your group. Doesn't matter how much money you pour into your clothes. If Yahweh Yahushua commanded that his house be built a certain way, and you want to get a bright idea to say, no, we're gonna build it this way. But sir, it's against the instructions of the Lord. No, don't worry. He'll be happy with this. Trust me. I know he'll be happy with this because it's going to look nice. If the Lord didn't command you to build it that way, it will fall. And that's the lesson that is taught throughout the scriptures. And that's the lesson that Israel's going to find out from IUIC. The Lord is allowing him to spread himself like a green bay tree, just like the scriptures talk about when it comes to the wicked, to reach a certain height, and then he's just going to bring them down. And he's just going to show that everything you did didn't mean nothing, because one, you didn't do it in my name, and two, you adding and taking away from a law. They took away just about everything from the scriptures. Like I said, they're just like the Christian church. They're no different. But because they believe that they're making money, And because they believe that what they're saying is worldly friendly, and because they believe that they have the advantage, that they can slander their neighbor because they can get away with it because they got money and they can influence the masses because they speaking according to the world, they honestly believe that that is going to propel them forward and force the Lord to deal with them. Doesn't matter how loud you are. Just because you're loud doesn't mean what you're saying is even more correct. But the Lord is letting him get that high to bring him down so that Israel will know that in the end, the Lord isn't dealing with it. He's not dealing with you. You can't force yourself to be a man of the Lord. You can't force yourself to be a prophet. You can't force Yahweh Shai to deal with you and to sup with you spiritually. That's what Nate is trying to do. So it does not matter how much videos you put up. Doesn't matter how many sound effects you guys send in your video. Doesn't matter how much you're praising yourselves for what happened in Kenya. It simply does not matter. Why? Because you are adding and taking away from his word, and you are denying his name. It doesn't matter your bright ideas. Because Nate, when he took that deal to make the 501c3 to take away the name, he believed that it was a worthy sacrifice. He believed the Lord is pleased with everything he's doing because it's his own work, it's by his own hand. He believed the doctrine that he's teaching is better, that one man should have one wife, and they both got to believe. And if they don't believe, you got to leave them and the children. You know, he believes that his ways is the best ways. That's why they had to take away from the scriptures. And he believes that making the deals to make the money, to travel. You know, and for the record, he's not going out on the highways and byways teaching. He wasn't out there. He sent his men out there. He not dumb. He knows, like, oh, I ain't going out there. I'll send you all out there. You know, he's not going to put himself out there. He's going to use you. And his reason is going to be, well, I'm the king. I'm the king. The king stays in. Well, actually, when you read the scriptures, the king went out. King David went out until he couldn't fight anymore. But that not him, you know. He just sits back and collects all the praise. He don't share the praise neither, you know. Just him, right? You know, so that's what you're going to find out. You're being set up to fall. They're wrong on everything. But because they have the money, because they have the lawyers, because they have the microphones, because they can be louder than everybody in the room, it is their belief that the Lord is going to deal with them and establish them as prophets, right? Because of this outward appearance and how much they deck the outside appearance. You know what I'm saying? But this is exactly why they're going to fall, and they're going to fall hard. But I understood now. I understand why now. So it's just a matter of how far the Lord is going to allow him to reach, so that Israel will know. I'm not flattered by all these theatrics. I'm not flattered by the videos, and I'm not flattered by any of it. Because you ain't doing what I told you. And better is the poor who keeps his uprightness than the perverse ways of the wicked, though he be rich. See? I always forget what. So yeah, Psalms 127. A decree of Solomon. Except the Lord Yahweh built the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord Yahweh keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain. And that's what you're going to find out. However far the Lord wants him to make it, to make an example out of him, to bring him down, you know, to show him, right, that I'm not with this house. I don't care how much money you put into it. I don't care how fancy you make it. I didn't watch over the house. I didn't build that house. My name isn't in that house. My doctrine isn't in that house. My will is not with that house. So it's just a fancy house, right, that has no hedge around it. Meaning what? When the wiles of the devil and the rain comes through, it's going to fall. You know? And that's what you're going to find out. That's what all Israel's going to find out. These people, this group was set up as an example, right, like Saul, of what not to do. And it's going to fall, and then those who follow or after the house of King David is going to be the left standing. So just watch what the Lord's going to do. Shalom.